Hey, Shawna, is it ever too late to change course, change careers, reinvent yourself?
That is a great question. And our guest today, Jen Ritchie, has a lot of answers. In her 40s, as a mother of five, she found her passion of photography, and she explains how she has grown her business, grown her passion, and even started a podcast. She has lots to share with us.
And before we dive in, let's give a shout out to our Girls Talk Healthy Aging listener, Miss Dana Lopez. Thanks for listening. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, where we dive deep into pressing health and fitness issues facing aging women. I'm Alli Kerr.
And I'm Shawna Kaminski. And together we'll bring candid conversations, expert advice, and personal stories that will inspire and empower you on your own wellness journey.
We are super excited to welcome you, Jen Ritchie, to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging. Thanks for being our guest today, all the way from Indiana, right?
That's right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And it's good to see you guys again. Really good to see you. See your faces.
It's been a long time. I remember the first time I met Jen, she was taking a picture of a big bear in Banff that was out in the wild. And so
I know you all thought I was crazy. And I was.
Yeah, I did. I admit, I thought I was like, what the heck? That bear is going to eat us all. But you were like fearless. I was like, whoa, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us how you got into this whole wildlife photography thing. Give us a little history on Jen's journey and how you got here.
Yeah, well, I really wasn't a nature hikey kind of girl young. I mean, I love nature, but I grew up in Southern Illinois in the Shawnee National Forest. My dad was a fisherman, so we definitely had nature and definitely were around nature. But I was like a typical teenager, worried about boys and reading Vogue magazine and all that kind of stuff. So playing sports. But I think around 19, our church youth group went to Colorado. We usually went to Florida for our youth camp, and this season we were going to switch and go to Colorado. And so I've never been the same again. So once I saw those mountains, I have wanted to be in the mountains and at any chance that I can get. And then my husband and I got married, and he had the same passion. And so we visited the mountains, specifically Rocky Mountain National Park. And then that was always a part of our kids' lives, taking them out every year to Rocky Mountain and trying every year, even from when they were just little, and still now trying to take them out. So even in those trips, I wouldn't spend the money on myself for a camera, but I would log everything that we saw. A moose came out of the water or this, we see this many bears, and I would go home in my journal and log it all. And then in 2017, my son Ethan and I, he was 16, and we got to take a solo, just the two of us out. He was only 16, and got to hike and see wildlife and all that. And we saw two of the biggest bull moose I'd ever seen in the park. And I just had this little Canon point and shoot, and I couldn't do anything. I knew I wanted beautiful shots, and I knew like this feeling inside of me. And there was a lady there with a huge lens, and I just thought, I'm never going to get to do that. I'm never going to get to do that. But Dan and I were going to Banff that in I think in a couple months. And so I decided to invest in my first real camera. And so that started a whole journey of going to Banff, still going to Colorado, then the Tetons in 2018, seeing grizzly cubs, and then finally being brave enough to get a wildlife photography mentor in 2020. And that was life-changing, and I have not been the same since.
So when we were all in Banff together,
yes,
was that kind of your first foray into photography? That was the first time you had a real camera, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that was one of the times, but I think I had been a couple years practicing in Colorado and one trip to Banff before that. So I was still pretty new and still had a beginner DSLR camera. I've upgraded a couple of times since then, and definitely upgraded my lenses, since then, have major lenses and, but yeah, that was all practice and not practicing mainly also locally, going out every morning. And then I think during 2020, we were all home based. I was out in our local nature preserves all the time because you still could go out in nature and just stay your distance. But I was out every morning, sunrise, going out, making myself familiar with animal behavior and the sounds of the forest and all those things. And like just learning my camera. And then in 2020, just was able to have someone really help me have goals and like critique my work and like feed that passion. So it just got more of an addiction and an obsession. And then in 2019, I upgraded my camera the first time, a first upgrade, and started my first account, Jen Ritchie Photography. And I think that was kind of an inspiration from when we were all in Banff and you guys were all learning how to grow businesses. And I was just kind of the wife that was there. I was doing another job, a totally different job. And I thought, I can do this. I can start my own account and I can grow something and put my name on it. And so then people wanted me to do portrait photography as well. So that was a whole intense period of my life, learning wildlife photography, portrait photography, taking courses, learning, and then like learning how to build. Like I didn't know that I could build. I didn't know I could build a business and how much I would love it. So, learning how to build an email list and marketing and all those things and service, providing the best service you can. So that was all wrapped up in a couple years till now. I feel pretty smooth and comfortable with all of it. But when I look back, it's like, wow, that was super intense. That was super intense because I did not set out to be like a portrait photographer, but now I am here locally a portrait photographer as well. So, yeah.
And I'm thinking ladies listening, some of them are in that stage maybe where they are like raising kids, or maybe they have a different job and maybe they have an interest or a passion. Can you talk to us about how kind of where you were at in life when you made this change into photography?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would say that around 38, 39, 40 were probably some of the lowest points of my life. And I feel like now that I say that out loud and I talk to my friends and other women, there are a lot of women that have that same sort of, I'm in a dark hole. I'm in a dark place. I don't know what I'm doing next. And I still had some little kids at home, but so I think creativity and finding that passion helped me climb out of that. And I always want to tell people it's not too late. Like, it's not too late. It's not over. You can reinvent yourself every time. You can do whatever you want. And I know it's cliche, but there are so many women that I know and that, especially in this wildlife photography field that I'm meeting, that are stepping out in fear and taking like trips of a lifetime, doing things that are really hard. I just got back from Alaska this summer. And I was telling you all before we started recording, like in the rain every day in a skiff, flying through the water, getting to meadows, photographing bears that were just like yards from me. It is, some of it's scary, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it to take those steps and then look behind you and see how far you've come. Just taking those steps. So I know that there's something that happens from talking to people. There's something that happens around 40 where you kind of question everything, and then you have to like decide what you want to believe and do, and then do it. So that's what happened to me, at least. I don't
know. Stepping forward in fear and not knowing the end game, but just knowing that there's one step. I'm just going to take one step. Can you kind of explain, because you've taken many steps since you started, but you didn't know where you would end up.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Part of the fear.
It is. And I think, I didn't spend money on myself like that. We had 5 kids and, running a small business. And so just that step of buying my camera and deciding I'm going to spend money on myself. I've always wanted this. But I think the biggest probably decision was that mentor in 2020. It was expensive. It was one day, a morning and an evening. That's it. But it was like $1,600. And I'm like, I've never spent money on myself like this. But, my husband has done a lot of coaching and had a lot of coaching himself. And he was like, Jen, there's just so much value in having a coach. I have done it all these years. It's your turn. And I was like, okay, maybe it's my turn. I gave up a career to work part-time and have kids. And so like, maybe it's my time. So in 2020, when I stepped out and like I had never had a photography in-person class or workshop or anything. So arriving in the Tetons where everyone seems to have a lens about this big, it's intimidating. So just asking for that first coaching call, getting that under my belt. And then when getting home, still being confused and realizing, oh, wait, he said I could have coaching calls, so maybe I shouldn't be scared. I was scared for like 3 or 4 months. And then I'm like, no, I got to email him and ask for what I want. I need clarification on this, So just continuing coaching calls and many more workshops, and just stepping out in fear. But it's just, you can't help it if you want something so bad or you're so passionate about it, you just can't help it. So I think it is scary, but even if you fail, you tried. So, but most of the time you don't fail, you actually do it, so it's worth it. It's really worth it.
I want to talk about the value of the coaching because, obviously, like you said, it's expensive. And where would you be had you not invested? Because if you were not used to investing in yourself, and I think that's
right.
A lot of ladies can relate to that. And you raised not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 kids. So hello, you had quite a full life, and it's got to be hard to switch gears from mom world, working part-time, doing something that maybe wasn't your passion, to investing in yourself. So can you think about what that would have been like had you not done the coaching and you were just going at it on your own?
Well, I would, even when I started this, still had kids at home and still do have kids at home. But like would have carloads of kids waiting. Mom, are you done? Are you done shooting? Are you done photographing this bear? Can we move on? So, having your family be patient with your goals and seeing that you have goals, that you are a person, that's really, really important. But it would have been a much slower process. Of course, we have YouTube, we have things like that. We have courses and things, but to have someone that you click with and that wants you to get better and sees that you can get better, like they believe you can get better and they see you for who you are, that is invaluable to me. That was invaluable. It still is. Like, we're more colleagues now, my mentor. And we just led in the Tetons together a few weeks ago. But still, I still will ask him questions. Like, I'm still learning, like, wait. And he's like, you don't need me. And I'm like, yeah, I still do. Still do, just a little bit.
We're going to interrupt this interview for just a second because we've got something we want to make sure that you know.
If you're struggling with your health, with your fitness, if you don't know where to start or you know what to do and you're not doing it, we're here for you.
And all you need to do to get our help is to reach out to Shawna and I at our email, sapodcast23@gmail.com. And we're happy to help and we will be in touch. Now back to the show.
So it's just nice to have people that believe in you and trust you, that you can trust. And I would say that to women is like, don't give anyone your trust. They have to be kind, constructive criticism that is kind and generous. Don't give anyone your passion or your trust because not everyone deserves it. So make sure your mentor is a good fit. Make sure that they're in it for the right reasons. I've heard too many stories now that I've started the podcast that, from other women who have had bad experiences with, other mentors or guides. So just make sure that you pick a good one. And if you know right away that it's not, move on to the next person, but it is worth the investment. Totally is worth the investment.
I think most people don't really consider the cost of inaction.
Right.
And that's something that's really important to bring up, that, you could progress, but it would be slower. And that mentor that believes in you provides the belief in yourself when you don't have it. Yeah. So having that connection is so important. So if there's a woman out there listening and she has a passion, she wants to get a mentor, what were those touch points from your mentor that helped you know that it was a good fit?
Well, as soon as I got in the car, we had gone to the same alma mater, which was really interesting. Him being in Wyoming and me being here, so that was really interesting. That just like I knew there was a common ground right away, but also that gentle mix of kind criticism, kind guidance, but also a push. And almost like I felt like at one point, like it was time to kick me out of the nest a little bit. So I think that was really good. And also just like willing to take my Google Doc of questions every few months and go through those with me and meeting me where I was. So my images at first were horrible. And he would just be so nice. Like, well, what do you see that you like about it? Well, here's something that we could change. So, like I said before, just a kindness and a generosity is really and expertise. There are different levels as well in photography and wildlife photography, and I'm sure there are in fitness as well. Like my husband is a fitness guy, so I know that world as well. So I know there are different levels. Like I know in fitness you can do group or one-on-one, or online. So like it's the same in wildlife photography. You can do a coaching call. That's probably the cheapest thing you can do. Then you could do or a group call. Sometimes they have Zoom group calls, or you can do that one-on-one workshop or a group workshop. So there's all different like financial levels as well that people can consider. I'm sure that's the same in many industries. So just check out all the different levels and ask friends in the same industry. Like, who do you like? Who's been good to you? I think women are really good at that. We're really good at telling each other, like, I think this would be a good fit for you, or maybe stay away from this, or stay away from this person. So it's kind of what we're building in my little community is sort of a spider web of like, these are good opportunities. This person is really nice. This person will empower you. This person you may want to stay away from. So
I love how you're really talking about not just the coach, but the network that you are
yes.
building through that. And I know that that's something that I've definitely gotten from participating in coaching is not just the coach, but also the other people. And it sounds
Yeah.
like you felt like you were kind of, when you first started and went to your first type of event or seminar, like all these people had the bigger lenses. Like, I think it's good to go into a group where you don't already know more than the other people in the
Oh,
group.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's so true. Oh,
Because
yeah.
that's when it is time to leave the nest, is once you know
Right. That's
more than
right.
the other people in the group.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Like, that's for sure. Like he had won awards and, he had many years experience. So that's so true. The experience is so important. Yeah, I thought I knew some, like in the little survey before we started, it was like, what level are you? Beginner, intermediate, pro? And I was like, advanced beginner. I don't know. Like I'm shooting soccer games. I've shot some shot nature around town and some other places, but like I haven't won awards, and it's intimidating at first. But like we said before, just stepping out, small actionable steps, and you look back and you're like, wow, like I've accomplished some stuff taking those actionable steps. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it is really humbling and important to not be the big fish in the room because that's
Absolutely.
when you're going to learn the most. You're in the
Yeah.
right place.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit because you brought this up just before we started to record, and I think it's so important. Is fitness and photography. What do you
Yeah.
know, Jen? What's your motivation for being healthy?
Well, as you both know, Dan Ritchie is my husband. And so I've been hearing our whole marriage about, being fit when you're over 40 and all this stuff. Well, back then when he started this, like we got married in our 20s. So it was like, that's a long way away for me. I don't need to worry about that. But now I'm in it. I'm 51. And so wildlife photography requires me to be strong, requires me to have health where I can walk and hike through grass, through mud, through everything. So, like I was telling you, strength and balance and my cardio health is so important. So, that really is a motivation if I don't want to work out. It's like, well, I have to be able to carry my bag that's heavy on my back. I have to be able to carry my lens that's big. I have to be able to walk to go photograph bears. I can't just, have someone take me there. So that's the motivation, is to stay strong, and to be able to get in different positions and get up from those positions, so, or balance in a squat. So that is super important to me now. And I want to be doing this as long as possible. If someone has to like walk with me out into the field and hold me a little bit, I'm hoping I always have a camera in my hand. So, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah, and I think that I think it was our guest recently that was talking. Maybe it was Kelly Roberts saying how you don't have to love resistance training, but you have to do it anyway.
You have to do it anyway.
But I think that finding your why is going to get you to your workout on the day that you don't want to, because you just, just even looking in your office, like some of those, photographs in your office are just, and probably all around you, are just a reminder of what you want to be doing. And, you have a big family, and Dan, fun fact, Dan has been on our episode twice now, episode 22, and we have yet to release his second one. So we're keeping it in the family, but he talks about how, eventually you would like to have grandkids. So yes, you want to be strong and healthy for grandkids, but having a strong personal reason outside of just family.
Yes.
Family is a big thing, but having that personal push is really inspiring. And, I just want our listeners to really hear that it can be more than just about family. Family is wonderful, but having that personal connection.
I agree. And I know I'd hear Dan say, well, like to his clients, like, well, you want to be able to get on the floor and up off the floor with your grandkids. And for me, it's like, there's so much more than that I want to do. Like I had to get out of a boat that lowered the skiff that lowered its front panel, and I had to get in the ocean up to my thighs with gear and camera and walk in the rain through the ocean to the meadow. Like if I was not in shape, and there was all this seaweed and bumps and holes and all these things, if I was not in shape, I would not have been able to do that. And I got a call to go to Alaska in a couple weeks. Like it was a short notice. So if I had not been working on that, and so I'm always thinking like, well, I could get a call and I have to be ready. And I'm not perfect, definitely not perfect. There are times when I'm really tired, and sometimes the workouts don't happen, but it doesn't last long where I'm like, but I have to be ready. I have to be ready, and I want to be strong. So I think that I keep thinking of that word strong, because it's not that I need to be skinny, because I'm not a skinny person. I'm not in junior high anymore. But I want to be strong. So that's kind of my motivation.
Yeah, you have a great why, and you know how it's going to translate. You can do these things because you have this strength. I want to talk about, because I love what Shawna's talking about with you doing something for yourself. And I want to delve a little bit more into that and how you've balanced that, because it sounds like a good part of your life, you were spending a lot of time. And like you said, you still had kids at home. That didn't change. Like you were raising family, you were working part-time. Then you decided to go into this photography and start this business. And so I'm sure there had to be some shifts and some changes to focus on your dreams and your goals and your passions. Can you speak to more to like what had to shift and change and how that looked?
Yeah. Well, definitely the portrait business was a big shift, and like being a business owner. But I think that was sort of a scheduling thing where that had to pay for the wildlife, like, because the family budget needed to be for the family. And of course, some of that budget went to family. But if I was going to do this, these trips are expensive. So I think that was probably probably the biggest change, is like, I've got to be able to make money to do these things that I want to do, these dreams, even though, Dan says it's my turn. Well, I got to pay for my turn. I can't just act like, oh, I've got all this money in the world to do all this. So it's letting the family know, like, some of these trips are now work. All my trips now are work, even though I'm going to national parks and stuff. It's not just a vacation. Some of them are sick of the mountains now, but so it's also, I don't know. something that's been hard is like the perception of me that, oh, she's just a mom, she's just a housewife, she's going on vacation taking pictures of animals. Um, and that is like so not the truth. It is such hard work, and there is art in wildlife photography. I'm not just taking pictures of an elk as a research shot. I'm taking a picture for art, and like I'm watching the elements that make it art. So I think that has been hard. Not with my family. My family does not treat me like that, but I think more locally and just it's a weird thing to understand, like someone's all of a sudden into nature and wildlife photography. But it is a whole huge world. And so that's been the adjustment, is just kind of like teaching them that, and that mom is working, mom is doing this, mom has a podcast, mom is filming. And they're very supportive, very, very supportive. So
it's such a great example of a woman, feeling empowered or empowering themselves at any time of life.
yes.
Whether you're a woman that has pursued, a passion from when your children were newborn, or when it's a little bit later start, like yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a really important thing for kids to see moms doing big and exciting
I do
things.
too. Yeah, I do too.
And is there anything surprising that you've learned about yourself through this whole endeavor?
Yeah, I mean, I have always been an overachiever, a leader, but I think, when the kids came and were little, I thought, well, maybe that's just not part of my life anymore. Maybe that's not me anymore. Maybe I'm just, I don't think moms are just moms, but we can have that thought in our brain. Maybe I'm just a mom now. Maybe those gifts are gone, So I think what is surprising to me is like, oh, wait, when I stand up for myself and I follow this passion, and I'm not working in jobs where I don't need to work anymore, that were not fulfilling. I think it's more like, yeah, I think I still have some of those gifts, and I can build on those gifts again and find them again. And also just, find new gifts, things I like I said before, I didn't know I could build a business. I didn't know I could sell. I didn't know I could build an email list and those kinds of things. I didn't know I could lead workshops in the Tetons. I didn't know I could do a podcast, but just finding those things and building on the gifts I had and finding those again, and then hopefully finding new gifts. But, there's lots of bumps and failures along the way. Definitely not perfect at it, but it's just been a joy to find. I think I always was looking for that thing. Like just never, I was a teacher before, and like just never found the thing I really, really loved. And so now it's like so cool to be able to find it. I just didn't think I ever would. So it's really cool to find a camera. Yeah.
And building a business, no matter what kind of business, thankfully it's a business that you're passionate about and doing something you love.
Right.
What are some of the things that maybe some of those new gifts, or how you've done the things as far as like consistency or actionable steps to build? What has served you well in building this business?
Yeah. I think just like thinking of service first. When I'm nervous and anxious, I'll think of service first. Like, I'm going to serve these people. It's not about me. And so because I can really get in my head and really get anxious. So I have to get outside of myself, think of service first. And then also processes, like having set processes. And like I have Google Sheets, Google Docs for everything. Like, this is my client list. This is where we are in the process, color codes for every single thing when we're done with certain parts of the process, in portrait and wildlife. And it's just systems, or that's what I mean by processes, systems in place that strengthen my business and make sure that I'm giving that service and no one is forgotten. And I think just, I'm not really a networker, because the portrait photography for me, I want it to stay at a certain level. I don't want it to get huge, but just making sure that, that I'm appreciative, that thank yous are going out, things like that, that I'm keeping those connections with the families that use me. And it's honestly, the podcast is the same way. Like, the people are important to me. And any time I do an interview, I'm researching them and it's about them and I'm wanting them to shine and wanting to build that community and keeping our mission, the mission statement in mind. So I think those are some of the things that really help me stay focused, probably.
And what is that podcast? So our listeners can check it out. What's the name of your podcast?
The podcast is called Wildlife Conversations. And its mission is to share voices from the community that may not have been shared before or that have been forgotten, some smaller accounts and then some bigger accounts. But we definitely wanted more women to be interviewed. It's a very male-dominated field. And just, I think we felt kind of invisible and wanted a place for women to share and share these amazing things that women are doing. Definitely have men on as well and some amazing photographers. And then I've reached out to some of my own heroes and they have been on as well. I've only had one person not answer an email about the podcast. So I've only had one person not answer me. So it's been really community building and getting people outside of their social media profile and like getting to hear people's gifts and highs and lows and their stories and their creative process. And honestly, it's a lot about fear. It's a lot about stepping out in fear, and it's a lot about gratitude and joy. So if people think it's just about photography, it is a little bit, it is very nerdy sometimes about photography, but it is a lot about what we're talking about right now. Just like finding your purpose and being so in love with something, and just really fun travel stories and amazing magical animal encounters. So it's been really good.
It really, I mean, a plug for a podcast or doing a podcast. I mean, we have loved it and do it as a passion project and as a source of a service as well. Yeah. And something special happens when you put service first, because we've met some incredible people. I mean, thankfully, we've known you and Dan for years, but we've met so many wonderful people. And I think putting service first is really a great way to kind of look at any aspect of what you're doing. But it really helps you to kind of feel good about things. Yeah.
I think so too. I think that's been one of the biggest surprises. I think people just love having a space for themselves. Like someone actually wants to give them space to hear their story. And that's really rare these days. So I think just people like to be seen.
Yeah, they have great stories.
They do.
And sometimes we learn the most from people that have the small accounts,
I know,
have a big platform.
Yes.
So that's such a great opportunity for all of us to learn.
Yes.
And we'll put the podcast link down in the show notes, y'all. So you can check out Jen's Wildlife
Conversations.
It's
a long name. I'm like, why did I pick such a long name? That has to fit everywhere. It's hard. It's really hard.
If you had some advice to someone listening that hasn't really found their passion, how do you do it? For you, it was that trip to Colorado that sparked something. But what advice would you give that mom or that career woman that's 39, 40, that's kind of feeling things closing in? How does she dig herself out?
Well, I think deep breaths. Take some deep breaths. But, look back. What was the spark? What was the spark? What have you been doing over the last years that you thought was kind of just a side thing or a hobby, but it's something that keeps coming up? I've always wrote, I don't write now, but I used to write in journals a lot. And Julia Cameron, does this thing called morning pages. It's 3 minutes. You get an actual pen in your hand and a pad of paper, and you write for 3 minutes, and whatever comes out, comes out. And so I've had parts of my life where I need to do that. And so where I just sit down beginning of the day, write for 3 minutes, and it's really interesting what comes out. So even if you need to do that for 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, sometimes those are really helpful. And then maybe ask your friends, like, what do you see that I'm good at or that I keep talking about, that I'm not doing? Or what do I find fulfilling that you see that I'm not seeing? So I'm definitely not perfect in like figuring everything out in terms of like where I'm going next, but hopefully some of these things will keep building as I go forward. But it is really important, I think, even if you're not doing it for money, to find those things that
Yeah.
really strengthen you and empower you and build you up. So,
And maybe that 3 minute, it doesn't, might seem like a long time when you're writing, but in the course of the day, 3 minutes is nothing, but
it's
something
nothing.
big could be revealed.
Yes.
And when you find that little thread and you just kind of keep pulling on it,
Yes.
and then maybe surrounding yourself or finding others that might have some connection to that thread and see
That's
where
right.
it goes. And that
That's
was,
right.
sounds like what you did.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this came together at once whenever I started a book and like went to a writing intensive course for a year and a half with a group of 6 or 7 other people. And I finally realized like I am a creative. I can give myself permission to be a creative. I don't have to keep acting like, oh no, I'm just my brother's the artist, not me. I don't then, but you start looking back, you're like, I've been writing and telling stories. I have English degrees. Like this is all part of my life. And now a camera is part of that storytelling for me. So I think when people look back, like, what have you been passionate about? Um, that stuff bubbles up, and you have to pay attention to it.
And
So
I
I
bet
think,
if you were to look back, you would see in your writings, it'd be fun. I've done that recently, look back at some stuff from like 2017, 18 in my journal,
wow,
that
yeah.
it was on my mind heavy. And I wrote about, just journaled about it, brain dumped about it. And now to look
Yes.
back, it's so funny to look back and read that now. Have you
So
done that?
interesting. It's so interesting because we don't give ourselves permission to like even explore that or do that. We get into a role or get in. Like I even think when I was in school, like I got into this certain track, did these classes they wanted me to do, and like got rid of all artistic expression and just did the math and science and all that stuff. It's like that part of me was really hungry and missing all of that. So like, what are you hungry for? What are you missing? Like maybe go take a walk and figure it out, like hike every day, do something where you can think, and like maybe look again at yourself. And I had to do that myself. Like I said, I had to think, do I have these gifts anymore? I don't know. I gotta see. I gotta figure this out.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just, I think a lot of women, and I've known it. I've had a family. I have a family too, not as many as you, but you're busy. And
Yeah.
unless you give yourself a little bit of time to breathe, to reflect, to look, you're
Yeah.
just going to be on the hamster wheel.
Yes.
So I really love your suggestion of whether you're a writer or not, to give yourself 3 minutes of writing, or maybe it's 3 minutes of thinking, but the writing
Yeah.
gives you something to do.
Yeah.
So maybe that is a strong suggestion for listeners that are just
Yeah.
looking for, hey, how can I reinvent myself?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good idea. It worked for me.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people are afraid for that quiet, because
Yes.
sometimes you feel a little bit unsettled with things, and that
Yeah.
unsettled feeling is okay,
It's
because it
okay.
means that there's something more for you.
I was going to say that unsettled feeling often points to something that you need to look at that could be true or something that you need to work through. So, yeah, very true. Very true. And I think that's what in my 40s, early 40s, that's what was happening, these unsettled feelings. And I had to sort of deconstruct and rebuild. And I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to do that. And I know there's a lot of young moms that don't have a lot of time to do that. So give yourself grace, because there is time. There is a lot of life after 40, a lot of life. It's very exciting. I'm so excited, like what's going to happen next. So
I remember when I was about 35, my babies were young, and I had a friend that was maybe 6 or 7 years older, and she had a family very young. So her kids were about ready to fly the nest, and she was entirely lost.
mhm.
And that was such a gift to me, to see that, because I thought, wow, I've got to do some big thinking so that I'm not in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I like how you said it's never too late.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity to be like, hey, what do I want to do when I grow up? Like I was a teacher as well, and I love teaching, but I knew that I wanted more than being a teacher.
Yeah.
So
I felt that too. I didn't want to wait till after the kids were gone. I just wanted to get started. You know, I didn't want to wait till everyone was gone. I'm sitting around wondering what I'm going to do without them. You know, it's like,
yes,
I don't like to know beforehand.
And it also gives them such a powerful lesson that, hey, my mom is a superhero. She can be mom and she can be, you know, it's not an either or.
Right.
It's an and.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And it gets the lesson that things can shift. Sometimes things shift in life and in our families, and sometimes that there's different chapters in life, and it doesn't all look the same for all of life.
Yeah, I think when you're young, you don't trust that, you don't know that because you haven't gone through it yet. But now I'm like, I know I have different chapters. There's been different things in our life. I'm in this chapter right now, and I love it, and I hope it lasts now for a long time. But that is not always the case when you're younger and you haven't gone through all of it yet. You don't know that there's going to be chance. There's going to be a time to reinvent and keep going. But I feel like I've reinvented myself or been several different things. Just encourage people to trust the process, be patient with yourself, kind to yourself. I needed a lot of self-care during all of that. Like during that time, there was a lot of angst, and so thankful that creativity and family and faith all got that, got me through all of that. So it does come.
And I think knowing that you don't need to know all the answers right now is okay, but just take a step in the direction that feels right for you.
That's right. That's right. I agree.
If you had a wish for our listeners, Jen, what would it be?
Oh, dear. Well, I think it's what we're talking about, that they would give themselves permission to look for what they love and take those actual steps to go towards what they love and what they're passionate about. And if they need mentors or help along the way, not to be afraid to ask, because there are so many kind people that also love what you love. And you find those kind people that are ready to help, and you may have to spend a little money, but there's always different, financial levels, but it's okay to spend money on yourself, and it's okay to spend time on yourself to find those things.
And my wish would be that if we are in a place of discovery or trying to figure things out or what's next, that we do take some time to ourselves to maybe journal a little bit, take that 3 minutes a day, get off of our phones, get out in nature, maybe go see some life, and be open to just not knowing, but listening and putting it out there that you want to, that you're ready.
Yeah. I can't tell you the amount of magic that I have seen now that I've given myself permission to do this. In Alaska, we sat in a meadow with a mom with triplets by ourselves, our group, and she brought her triplets to us, brand new babies of the spring, and nursed her babies right in front of us. I totally couldn't even control the sobs. My throat was just like, it was the most beautiful thing I've seen. And they make a huge motor sound, this big hum when they nurse. So the air was filled with this humming and motor sound, and the rain was pouring, and the mom was totally comfortable laying there with they're putting their hands and paws on her face. And
we're talking bears.
We're talking bears.
Yes, just to clarify.
Yes, grizzly bears. Did I just say mom and cubs?
Yeah, well, you said
grizzly
mom.
Bear, Alaska brown bear,
and
her 3 cubs. And that to me is why I do what I do, because those moments happen all the time, and our planet is so worth celebrating and showing people how important it is. So I just can't imagine not taking those steps now, because it's just been so life-changing for me. So
and I've seen some of those pictures on your Instagram, and they are awe-inspiring.
Thank you.
Incredible.
Thank you so much. Just continue to grow and grow and grow, hopefully in this. And I don't know where it will take me, but I mean, just being here with you all is so nice, and just thankful that you let me share my story. And I'm really grateful.
Well, I think it's quite an inspiration. And my wish for listeners is to consider the cost of inaction.
Yes.
Because you are where you are today because you took one small step of faith in yourself every day, not knowing the answer.
Yeah.
And had you not done that, you wouldn't be where you are today.
It's very true. It's very true. And I am very prone to doing that, like, oh, it'll be okay. Put everybody else first, or like, oh, I can't do it. But that stuff has got to be over, and you have to tell yourself you can do it. It's okay. You can do it.
Thanks for listening. You'll find me, Alli, on Instagram at Alli Kerr Fitness.
And you'll find me, Shawna, on Instagram at Shawna Kaminski. Feel free to pop us a DM with questions and or feedback. If you're enjoying the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, please subscribe and share it with other health-minded women. Ratings and reviews are also much appreciated and help us get our message out to a larger audience.
Until next time, be healthy and be happy.